We will continue our webcast. Our first speaker this afternoon is Mr. Bill Stevens. He is a hazmat investigator at the Department of Transportation, Southern Region. He is also the national team lead for the Select Agent program. Mr. Stevens?
Thank you. First off, let me start off by thanking Mr. Von McGlee and the CDC staff for letting us be a part of this little presentation again. And with that, introducing myself, Bill Stevens, as National Team Lead for the U.S. DOT, between the DOT and the CDC for the Select Agent Program. In my job as an investigator here in Atlanta, the region that I represent, we cover 8 states and Puerto Rico out of that one regional office. We have 5 regional offices across the country doing this type of work with approximately 8 to 10 investigators per region. In each region for this particular subject matter, I have trained one person in that region to also do select agent inspections for the DOT and the CDC. Our efforts are coordinated all throughout the year, so I always look at it as being a very comfortable, easy, cooperative effort, if you will, between both agencies. And of course, we appreciate the help of Von and his people. I'll start this off with the Infectious Substance Guide. What I'm going to be presenting to you today is everything is inside this book. If you don't have this book, you can easily get it through our PHMSA website, phmsa.dot.gov. And if you get this particular guidebook, which has not changed since the printing date on this one of 2006, all of the information is still current. So if you will get this guidebook free from us or any other venue out there, then you will have everything that we will be presenting today. Our objective. Of course, we've got objectives here. We're going to talk today about package selection, marking, labeling, your shipping papers, your emergency response information, transportation security plan, and your training. Then we'll finish up by talking about the inspection process and some of our top violations. So I'll start this off by saying that previously the board members up here were talking about this permit and this agency, etc. Well, you got your permit. Now what you're going to do? You've got to get this product from your origin to your destination. Excuse me. So how are we going to do this? You're going to call in the DOT to do the regulation, because that's not what the USDA does or the CDC or several of the other agencies. So this falls under the 49 CFR, Department of Transportation, Hazardous Materials Transportation Regulations. Of course, we already know what Category A and Category B materials are, but what I want to bring out to your notification here is on the UN numbers. We've got 2900 and 2814, whether it's affecting humans or animals only. And of course, your Cat B materials. Some of these I will go over fast because I know my audience is well versed in these items. So I'm just going to highlight them as we go. This slide's very important. And anything that you are doing with transporting hazardous materials, to include infectious substances, etc., we just had the slide previous on. If you will go into the 49 CFR and thoroughly familiarize yourself with these particular sites in here, then you should not have any problem transporting your materials in compliance with the regulations. Okay? And of course, if we have compliance, we have a safe transportation of these materials, which is what exactly we want to do. General packaging requirements under your 17324 series. Your exceptions, hey, we might have some exceptions for infectious substance, or we might have some exceptions from medical waste. Okay, look in there and see if you can use some exceptions if you so want to. And of course, Category A is under 196. Your regulated medical waste is under 197, and your Cat B is under 199. The particular test that we will talk about in just a moment for Category A infectious substance packages are covered under 178.609, and they are quite robust, to say the least. Not your standard UN testing, but some really stronger UN testing. We want this bad material to get to where it's going in a safe and complete manner. Here's our Category A packaging. Of course, you've seen this. You use it out there in the field and all. It is nothing more than a strong, tested package. Again, we'll go over the requirements here shortly. It is a triple pack. We have our vial with the material inside, whether it's an auger or whatever it is holding the material, some absorbent material. Then we place it into an inner package, or quote, secondary package, if you want to call it that. And between the secondary package and the outer package is where your list of contents of what that material is. Okay? Usually your Form 2 is stuck in here for the recipient of the material so he knows what's in there before he opens it up. And then, of course, your outer packaging. And, of course, we will have the infectious substance label, all of these things that we can communicate the hazardous material to whoever is handling it, whether it's Customs Border Patrol people or the FedEx people. We want to communicate the hazard. So it is a triple pack, and it is a UN tested. If you'll look under the arrows on that left package, you'll see UN package certification, and here's what it will look like. This one is different, but it is the only type package that you can use for Category A infectious materials. Okay? You've seen these. I want to bring up two items on here. First is where it says the 4GU. 4G tells us it's a fiberboard box, but the U is very important in that this box was tested with a glass vial inside of it at the utmost strenuous possible methods to ensure that that material would not break that glass under normal circumstances for hazardous material for transportation. Okay? So if we put a U on that box, that means it was tested with a glass vial, which means you can put any size container in there of any material, whether it's a metal, a plastic, a glass, earthenware. You can use any type of inner package that you want to in this particular box. If it does not have the U, you'll have to be specific to what that box was tested with. If it was tested with a poly bottle inside of it, that's what you're going to ship inside that container. Okay? We don't want to go in there and see a metal can or a glass bottle, something like that, that was not tested with it. So be very conscious about what you're getting, what type of package. Your Class 6.2. Again, this is the only package that is authorized for Category A material, and 6.2 tells us that it was put through those rigorous tests of 178.609. And I say rigorous to the point that the testing requirements show us that we're going to put that box under a rainfall. We're going to soak that thing for about an hour to represent 2 inches of rain have dropped on that box, and then we're going to drop it from 30 feet to see if we can bust that vial inside. We're also going to freeze that package for 24 hours and drop it from 30 feet. These are some pretty strenuous tests, of course. We're also going to drop an 1.5 inch diameter metal rod, steel rod on that weighs 15 pounds. And we're going to drop this rod directly onto the box at 4 feet and try to bust it. We're going to in turn turn around and drop the box on top of the rod itself to see if we can bust it. So these are some pretty strenuous tests that it does undergo to be not only in compliance with the regulation, but make this so safe that we should not ever have a busted package during transportation. Okay? So these are the tests that it would undergo. Your Category B packaging. Again, it's just like the other one. It is a triple package also. But the inner package may be nothing more than a soft-sided package, i.e. a Ziploc bag, something like that, that's holding your glass vial of it. And then you have your absorbent material if necessary. And then, of course, the outer package. You'll notice that this package is not UN certified tested. Okay? It does not need to be for category B, but it does have to meet the general packaging requirements. You saw us mention in the 173.24 series. It must be strong package. It must be a good package that will keep the material retained inside of it in case there is an incident. So again, a triple package with absorbent material is necessary. The non-spec requirements. So we had the testing requirements for your UN package. This is the testing capabilities for this triple package. A strong outer package, not tested, is capable of passing a 4-foot drop test, capable. And the primary and secondary receptacles are leak-proof and they're secured within the outer package. The outer package must prevent leaks or release of the material. And of course your markings. Markings are very important, and I find this with some violations that I do right. If your package is large enough for the UN 3373 label, which is normally 4 inches on each side, then you have to use a 4-inch label. Do not put a 2-inch label on a box that is sufficient to handle a 4-inch label. When it says you can use the 2-inch per side label, they're referring to a much smaller package to where, hey, I can't get it all on the package to communicate it. So the 2-inch is authorized. But if you've got a larger box that'll accommodate the 4-inch, you got to use the 4-inch. In a Cat B, you also are authorized to have some liquid stabilizers in there, but no more than 1 ounce. This could be a formalin, formaldehyde stuff, anything like that, a class 3 or class 8, but only in 1 ounce capacity. Package labeling. For category A, we have 4 elements to our hazmat description, but only 2 have to be on the package. And that's your proper shipping name and your UN identification number. This is package marking. Notice right under here, I say that there is no technical name on the package. There are 2 sections in here under 172.301 and 172.202, and that is very specific about an infectious substance that you do not put the technical name on the package. Leave it blank on the package. We will also have the shipper and consignee information, of course, and of course the infectious substance label, which it changed a couple of years ago or a year ago and took off the notify CDC part of it. They just want you to notify your local health department. Orientation arrows if necessary. Your Cat B, very much similar, but since we don't need shipping papers for a category B infectious substance, we list the proper shipping name and the UN 3373 label on it, and then we communicate who to call in case there's a situation. Who knows about this material? The name and telephone number of that responsible person, and as you see, it does say with an airway bill, an air bill of lading. You do have to submit a hazmat declaration for a Cat B when you transport by air. But we want this shipper information on there also. Labeling requirements. We have an exception under 173.134 that we can use a biohazard symbol in place of an infectious substance label. But we're only talking about for medical waste. So read that section very clearly, 173.134. You can have some exceptions, but they are particular to what you're using. We have the inspection substance label, you have your Cat B label, and then you have your orange panel 3291. This orange panel must be on, which represents regulated medical waste, a bulk container. Anything over a 119-gallon container is called a bulk package, okay? You will put this label on the package itself. Think about a 250-gallon roll cart, if you will, full of medical waste, because that's what 3291 is. We're going to put this label on two opposing sides. If we have bulk packages on a truck, we will also have this label on the truck. All right? Shipping papers. Shipping papers for Category A materials. You have your identification number, UN 2900, 2914, your proper shipping name, and technical name. Do not put your technical name of the material on the shipping paper. With the DOT and the CDC coordinating efforts, we've come up with this verbiage, not printed per se, but we have it as lost in the crowd. We don't want everybody to know that they are handling something that might be an Ebola or that might be an anthrax material. We don't want them to know that, but you will have to put something on that shipping paper in the parenthesis to represent that technical name, and that's going to be suspected Category A infectious substance. Put that verbiage on that shipping paper. Why would we want to put a technical name on the shipping paper when the shipping paper goes on top of the package, which the package doesn't have the technical name on it? Okay? That handler, whoever he might be, could still find out what's inside of it. So thus your concept. You'll have a hazard class. There's no packing group associated any longer with infectious substances. We want the type of package and the unit of measure. Tell us that it's one box, okay? And then whatever your unit of measure is in there for your milligram or small quantities. Your shipper certification. You will run into problems with FedEx. Shipper certification box is not signed. But if you have it typed written in there, some mechanical method, it meets our requirements under federal regulation. But FedEx, on their airplane and their playground, will want you to sign it, okay? You can sign it. You're not in non-compliance with our regulation whatsoever, okay? And when we say you sign it, we also make it very definite that it'll be legible, okay? That doesn't always happen. Doesn't always happen. Emergency response telephone number. We'll discuss that one in a few moments also. But we must know who has the knowledge of what's inside that package in case there is an incident out there on the road. How are our first responders going to handle and treat and move this product and make things safe during an incident? They want to call that one number and get in touch with that one person. Category B, unless it's accepted, i.e. you're putting it on the aircraft, there's no shipping papers required. Just your notification of information on the package, as we talked a while ago. The emergency response telephone number. The requirements in there in the 202s, 172-202 shipping paper says you'll put a number on there. 172-604 says you'll put a number on there, and here's why. Okay, and it must be someone who will accept that responsibility for having knowledge of that material when they call that number the first time. And we have it in our regulation as in an immediate response. We do not take kindly to, this is an answering service, can I have so-and-so call you back? It doesn't work that way, okay? I will call that number that you've got listed on there, and I will see how immediate it comes about. I have called them. And I have finally gotten to the person that number was, and they're sitting right beside me during an inspection. It took 10 minutes to get to that person. That didn't work too well. Didn't work. Okay, and it needs to stand out. We have an emergency number. If you use a service like Chemtrek, Chemtail, one of the other ones, you have to have their telephone number identified as emergency response, and then your contract number with that company must also be on there. But have it stand out in red and bold by itself. Stand out. Transportation security plan. We know the CDC and these other agencies have you do their own security plan, okay? Well, I have a transportation security plan too. Unfortunately, when I go to do an inspection, I don't always find a transportation security plan. So what I will do is look at your security plan that CDC says, and I will try to extract information out of there that will meet our requirements. Okay, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. Then I'm going to talk to you about, let's place this information also under a tab called Transportation Security Plan. All right? So I'll try to work with you up to a point, but it's transportation. It's not security of your direct materials and who handles it and checks it in and out and all this. The plan must include an assessment of your site and transportation security risk. What risks do you have? What materials do you have? You can tell me that it's in the CDC plan under section so-and-so. Okay, I'll buy that. I don't want you to do necessarily, let's put that risk assessment out there for somebody else again to see it, where CDC's transportation plan might be more secured than ours. We have sensitive information. Y'all have classified information. We want to have the address. It's going to address personnel security, unauthorized, and en route security. Personnel security. What methods have you incorporated into the hiring process that you have vetted this person thoroughly before you allow them any access to this material that you have assigned a risk assessment to? Okay? Tell me about your background checks and stuff. Oh, well, that's in the CDC plan. No, pull it out, put it into mine. Okay? Give me that same information. There's no problem about cutting and pasting. Okay? Pull it over here. Your unauthorized access. How are you going to prevent me from getting in there? Much less someone else who comes walking up and wants to see what you've got. Where's your BSL-3 lab? You got a 4 lab too? Oh, okay. Well, you want to take me back there and show me? I spent all this time and I see this security element and stuff, but I'm a bad guy. And the only thing you saw today of me entering this facility was a business card. Okay? Think about what you're doing. And if your security plan says that you're going to check photo identification and identify all the persons, or you're going to call their office and see if they are legit, et cetera, if that doesn't happen, I'm going to write you a violation against your security plan. I have done it, and I'll do it, today. For me to go in there and spend 3 or 4 hours in an inspection, and all you saw was a business card of mine, it really lets us down a little bit. Okay? And of course, you want to list the job titles and duties of those persons who have implemented this plan, developed the plan, and then what their duties are. You don't have to give us particular names because we know people move in and out. And then, of course, a training plan. The respective people that have a duty under this plan must be trained on those portions of that plan. And they have to be trained every 3 years or annually if you review and change the plan. Annually, you will review the plan. You got to document it if you do it annually. Other training requirements. We ain't through. Okay? We got transportation training requirements. You got to train your people under 172.704 series in our reg. It's going to cover general awareness, familiarization. We want you to give enough training to these people that they say, hey, I know this package is incorrect, but I'm not quite sure I can put a finger on it. Mr. Supervisor, we got a problem, I think. They've got general enough knowledge to say, there's not a label on here. There's not this on here. Oh, it's not a UN package. You're going to train them on how to read the hazmat table, what shipping papers should look like, packaging, marking, labeling requirements. Okay? That all falls under general awareness. Safety, your HAZCOM right to know program. Okay? Function specific. If you've got certain people tasked with using a UN tested package, they got to be trained on how to properly close and use those inner packages we were talking about. Because all the elements of the inner package have to be there to include the proper closure method on it. So one person or two persons may be doing that job, and you got 20 other people working around. But the ones packaging it are the ones that need function-specific training. Security awareness. And that's a little different than your security plan, and that's a little bit more different than your transportation security plan. But this is nothing more than, and it can be incorporated into the others, looking over your shoulder, being cognizant of your surroundings. Who's following you down to the mailbox every day when you take something down, 2 miles down the road to the mailbox? Who's following you? Who's around that shouldn't be? Being cognizant of your surroundings. And again, we'll talk about the in-depth security training, which you only need if you do a transportation security plan, which you only need if you have select agent shipping going on. This is the only requirement for it. If you were just shipping infectious substances category A and B, and then regulated medical waste, etc., you don't need a transportation security plan. Only if you ship a select agent regulated by the CDC or USDA. And of course, anyone shipping infectious substance, the general thing is knowledge and training. Get down to compliance inspections. Knock, knock, here I am, no notice. Well, you need to make an appointment, sir. Well, I'm sorry, I don't. Okay? Our agency does work off of this. I don't even have to show you my credentials, according to the regulation, unless you ask for it. Okay? But I will. I'm not a hard guy to live with, but I'd like you to ask me. Okay? I want you to know who I am. I'm going to come in there and I'm going to do a little introduction. Hey, this is me. This is where I come from. I want to do a compliance inspection. Notice I said compliance inspection. I want to find compliance. That's all. I'm a happy camper if I find compliance. If I don't find compliance, then we have a violation of the regulation. We will have to write up said violations. I'm going to tell you the purpose. You can invite your representatives. I don't care who you want to bring down. I'll sit there 15, 20 minutes if you want to gather them up. Anyone you want to make part of the inspection. We're going to tour the facility. I'm going to tell you we're going to tour the facility. We're going to see the infectious substance shipping area, the medical waste area, your chemical waste area. I'm going to give you your government's 25 cent worth of inspection today. I'm going to cover every possible thing I can. Then we're going to talk about packaging. I'm going to be looking for your non-bulk, your inner package liners, etc. Packaging is our specialty in my agency, PHMSA. I'm not a mode of transportation, but my work does go into those modes of transportation. Highway, FAA, etc. We're going to look at tested packages. Are you using those UN tested packages? Have you closed them the way it was required to be closed? Are you using the right? I'm going to dig deep into that package because that's what keeps you in compliance. When we have compliance, we have a safe transportation. We're going to look at bills of lading. We're obviously going to look at your training records and documentation. Let me see what you trained these people on. We're going to talk about your security plan if you need it. And then we're going to say, woo, that was a big inspection, Bill. Then we're going to sit down and do an exit briefing. Again, you can invite any representatives that you want to come in to there. Have an exit briefing. I may give you an okay, no violations noted, because I'm happy that you are in compliance. Okay? If not, I will write up noted violations, quote, probable violations, and then I'll explain to you not only where they're at in the book, because that's the way I write. I don't write something I cannot support. I'll show you in the book where it is, and I'm going to tell you how to fix it. And then I'm going to give you 30 days to fix it. And show me how you fixed it. Easy enough? Okay? And then someone else will decide if they want to do a monetary penalty coming down the line. Okay? The investigator does not make those decisions to keep us out of it. So, the exit briefing will finish it up. If I give you an okay, you get 2 pieces of paper, and that's all you'll hear from us. If I have violations, then the process starts. You have 30 days to correct everything. I will send you back an official finished report after that. And depending on whether it's a ticketing program or a case program that goes to Washington, it could be in your hands in 60 to 90 days after the inspection, or it could be in your hands 6 months from now, depending on when the attorneys in D.C. get through with it. But that's how we do compliance inspections. No notice, don't turn me away, okay? I got to come in here and do this. So don't say, come back tomorrow, Bill. No, okay? Let's do this. Finishing up here with some top violations and inspection results. Training. Training is so important. We have talked about this constantly in the DOT. What is our biggest problem out there? Is training. How do we fix that? We do outreach presentations. We do training classes and all. I train and do outreach while I'm doing an inspection. It's part of my inspection to educate you that much more. I'll tell you things that's not in the regulation to help you out, okay? Make life simple for you. But it's all in the name of training/outreach. That's what we want to do. Security plan requirements. Touched on that. Take your information out of your CDC, paste it over here, add to it to support mine, and that's the only section I want to see, is the Transportation Security Plan section. Not hard to do, but sometimes it's just not happening out there. You cannot, people will do this, and one of the biggest problems is they will not address en route security. Well, I don't transport it. How can I answer that? It's very easy. Anyone that you use, this is the only capability you have, but any transporter that you use, it's your responsibility to ensure that transporter has an en route security plan to ensure your product gets from A to B. So you make him give you a en route portion of his security plan or a letter so stating he has an en route security plan in accordance with the 49 CFR. You have done your due diligence at that time. But don't just tell me all of our carriers have an en route plan. Okay? How do I know that? You don't have anything in this document that tells me that. So take the further steps, the things that you can control, and put it in there. Okay? That's all you got to do. With our CDC team, again, I have trained one person in every region we have out here in the country, and currently we have 5. I think we're going to grow to 6, maybe even 7 in the future. But since 2008 in cooperation with the CDC, we have conducted 300 plus inspections on select agent shippers alone, which I think is a pretty darn good number, even though it may sound like a lot of years and all. When you put that in with the rest of the work that we do, 300 specific select agent inspections, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Last 2 years have been really great, by the way. I do want to commend everybody who's listening out there, looking, whatever the case. There's been nothing but minor violations the last 2 years. 1 or 2 violations that may be turned into a warning letter. There might be a quality control, or there might be a small ticket item. But nothing serious and usually only minor violations. Okay, so we're pretty happy with our inspection as it's going now because of this outreach. This is what we do to get you the information. Eat it up, people. Eat it up. It's there for your use. Okay? So we'll finish this one out. We have an info call center that you can call up there in Washington. They are very knowledgeable up there. They sit with lawyers, the attorneys up there, the standards people who write these regulations, who know what they're saying and doing. Call them for help. Or get in touch with any of our regional offices that you may be near and call and ask for that person who handles your infectious substance program. Okay? We'll be able to help. And of course, I'm always available via email myself. Okay? I travel a lot, but I will answer your email probably that evening at the hotel. Okay? But you will get an answer back ASAP. Okay? Well, that concludes, and I appreciate your time today.